Right, so this is an interesting allegation that's come out this morning, the latest revelation concerning Labour's candidate for the Rochdale by-election, which is implying that Keir Starmer might be getting the Jeremy Corbyn treatment. It would seem that Keir Starmer is upsetting the powers that be in the Labour Party, by which I mean the Zionist Lobby. It seems they aren't very happy with him, which may surprise you to hear, and as a warning shot to him, to remind him who's really in charge, they've committed a bit of sabotage on Labour's election candidate there. People to this day blame Corbyn for Labour's failure in 2017 and 2019, yet Starmer, a right-winger, is having it done here and now to him by the internal party machine and their pro-Israel backers. And if the detail of these allegations are true, Labour will never run this country in UK interests, because they simply won't be allowed to. Right, so what's going on here then, Damo? Well, this is Rochdale by-election time again. It's becoming quite a soap opera style saga up there now, isn't it? Especially when it comes to Labour and their candidate. Over the weekend we had these revelations come out, didn't we, about Labour's Rochdale candidate Azhar Ali. That in response to the events of October 7th when Hamas went into Israel and seized hostages. It was alleged by the Egyptian government that they had warned Israel that Hamas were planning something big. And in response, Israel did nothing, even apparently going so far as to downgrade their militias in the nearby kibbutzes. It's as if they allowed it to happen. Now, Israel have vehemently denied this. However, they've been consummate liars throughout and have been proven to be so on multiple occasions, usually getting caught out because they are hilariously bad with their excuses. But Egypt have got nothing to gain by lying about this. Nonetheless, as regular viewers of my channel will know, Azhar Ali offered a grovelling apology and admittance that he was wrong. That as things still stand right now, has been enough for the party and he remains their candidate. Talk of him having been summoned to see Starmer, as I mentioned previously, has yet to come to pass, it seems. He appears to have been in Rochdale yesterday when he was supposed to be on a train. Once again getting rinsed by local people, though. Labour really do seem to set to lose this Rochdale by-election. However, the latest news to come out is that Starmer's team are apparently now blaming someone who is being described as a Labour right, pro-Israel NEC member for leaking the details of that story, of these comments made by Azhar Ali to the media, and that this was done as a warning to Starmer to not go soft on his support for Israel's actions in Gaza. This should absolutely horrify people both within Labour and outside of it. Someone on Labour's National Executive Committee, their highest level of authority as that is, has deliberately, allegedly, damaged Labour's by-election chances, already damaged as they were, to basically remind Starmer who's in charge and what is expected of him. It underlines the fact that, once again, he really isn't the one in charge here. And as much as some of us have pointed out to Blair and Mandelson previously, saying they're the ones that are operating him from behind the scenes, the Zionist Lobby clearly are the ones prepared to go to any lengths to ensure Starmer remains on message without deviation. As far as that description of an NEC member goes, it's very difficult to look past this being anyone other than Luke Akehurst. As soon as Labour, right-wing, pro-Israel and NEC all end up in the same sentence together, the only guy you tend to think of is Akehurst, though he hasn't been named specifically. Akehurst has always been pointed to as an issue when countering the Zionist lobby, since he is literally a paid advocate for Israel. His day job is promoting Israel, being director of an organisation called We Believe in Israel. For years he was kept off the NEC while Corbyn was leader, despite his best efforts to get back onto it. Yet as soon as Starmer took over, the very next set of NEC elections saw Akehurst come top of the vote, even above well-known lefties at the time who were still there, such as Laura Pidcock. That raised my suspicions because it just didn't appear to make sense to me. And to this day I smell a rat on that, but that's just my view. I've no evidence to that. Nevertheless, the lobby are showing some clout, it seems, from somewhere. I can't say I've noticed Starmer watering down his message at all in support of Israel, but that would be because he hasn't. This warning, this throwing away potentially of a Labour seat, it's all because there are fears Starmer might go soft. As Israel becomes more and more blatant, as court cases are filed at the ICJ, even against the UK now, aiding and abetting in Israel, Labour's leader is being told by those who are really in charge, it seems, don't you dare go soft on us, or else. Take this as a warning. It's political terrorism. If Labour's team really wanted to paint another target than their boss right now, they should name them so we are without doubt who this is that has done this. Otherwise, well, there's that possibility that this is just more of them making excuses ahead of what is expected to be a defeat. But equally, how much more damage could be done at the general election if Starmer continues to give his overseers cause to fear him about going soft? This is about paranoia from them, isn't it? It's not out of any actual softening of Starmer's position. But equally, if Labour are like this now, when they are on the way to winning the next election, at least if you buy into these national polling figures they are, how ridiculous is it that this sabotage goes on now? Of course, it is the same thing they did to Corbyn, and they weaponised anti-Semitism to do that. They didn't want him. He couldn't be controlled by them. He couldn't be bought. Also shows how happy Zionists are to weaponise racism against Jewish people for their own ends, in which numerous people have stated over the years is what they always do. We were denied the opportunity for change in this country under a Corbyn-led government by such people. Now they're happy to deny us even red Toryism if they aren't able to control them and remind the so-called leader who's actually in charge. These people would rather see Sunak and his inept rabble of Conservatives carry on and stay in power if they can't control Labour. This is what they did in 2017 and 2019. It's what they're threatening to do again, and it should shed fresh light on what actually happened in Labour under Corbyn in those previous elections. Of course, there's a very easy solution to all of this for all of us as voters. Don't vote Labour. Vote for someone else. Get behind another alternative party or indeed one of the multitude of independent candidates springing up across the country. If Labour cannot provide an opposition and will not be permitted to put the needs of this country first, then how on earth can we possibly vote for them? If it was Russia and not Israel behind the scenes here, our mainstream media would never shut up about it, would they? We'd all be being encouraged by all and sundry on the TV and on the politics programmes to run a mile from Labour. Instead, there is, so far, complete silence on this. Apart from all that, though, there's another issue here, if indeed an NEC member made this leak. Quite clearly, Starmer's Labour have allowed Azhar Ali to stand despite knowing all about what he said, in which case, despite having suspended or expelled others for the same or less. Ali is a Starmer's faction, though, isn't he? And it proves suspensions and expulsions are not evenly handed. They're not handled fairly. They are weaponised factionally, since a free pass has been given to Ali and not to, for example, Kate Ossamore, and come back to her again, for showing solidarity with Gaza on Holocaust Memorial Day. That news that she was told an apology, just as Ali is given, would be fine, but in her case it was followed up with a suspension anyway. That now sounds even more like the actions of the Zionist Lobby, who really seem to be in charge. Naturally, Twitter have once again had a say on the matter. Just a couple of examples here. Daffodil wrote, "Oh, the irony. The most right-wing genocide-supporting Labour Party in recent times, yet the Zionists still aren't happy. Who's really in charge of the Labour Party? Because it sure doesn't look like Starmer." And Harris wrote, "So the guy who has destroyed his own reputation as a human rights lawyer is now being threatened by those who he defended for not supporting genocide strongly enough. You couldn't make this up." No truer words said. Labour has a massive Zionism problem, a problem prepared to keep them out of power and lose elections again if needs be to ensure they stay in control and know whoever they allow to be leader knows it too if they harbour any ambitions to run this country. That is seriously scary. It's not just the Labour Party, of course, that has accusations of being compromised against it here and now, though. The ICC in The Hague does too, still having failed to bring a single prosecution case against anybody in Israel, despite the ICJ having found Israel guilty of a plausible case for genocide. What gives with the ICC prosecutor in which case? Plenty, it might appear, the details of which I've covered here. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.